Tired of screwing up, tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.
Eminent Waste of Time, episode 29. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And you just missed Chad cracking up. When we record these, I take the audio from the audio recording and I sync it up with the video because the webcam is just, like a web camera sitting in your room.
It sucks at capturing audio. It just does,
it's terrible.
Obviously. So that's why we have these things in front of our faces, which are microphones.
Plus, it's witness protection. It's like Wilson from, what was that?
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement. You never actually saw his face?
Yep. See, it's like from this angle, you don't really see I have a beard, but look.
Matching beards.
Yeah.
You're more gray.
Yeah, I got way more gray. That's because I've lived an exciting life.
So to sync that up, I do a clap. And it just gives me an easy way, when I move frames forward when my hands meet, that's where the audio goes, and boom, the rest of it works.
And you can hear and see the clap on the audio wave.
So I totally whiffed that clap. I mean, it was this really sad.
It was like a toddler clapped. Yet he had like the YMCA hands going up in the air like that.
I'm tired. It was a long weekend. You're lucky you're getting a podcast at all.
Oh, we're actually having to record this on a Monday instead of on a Wednesday like we normally do because life is busy and life is stupid.
So so our release date's actually going to be 8 full days from the record date.
Yeah.
We're sorry. Well, maybe it'll age like a fine wine.
Or it'll go sour like milk.
Or like the salsa you eat.
My whiskey salsa. If you guys don't get that, go back a couple episodes.
Stupid Stuff with Chad, whiskey salsa. You'll figure it out.
Oh, it was amazing. Not the salsa, but the story was funny. Salsa was bad. Don't do that.
Well, and it occurred to me as I was showing up here, I'm starving. Usually I try and eat more on Wednesdays for lunch, or eat something that's got a lot of protein that'll stick.
Yep.
Today, I was so out of my normal routine in the morning, I didn't pack a lunch, so I went over to Subway, and, the sandwich was good, but they try and make them low calorie because they're healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that burned off about 4 o'clock. So I'm like, well, I'll just grab something at Chad's place, and then I thought, maybe that's a really horrible idea. I don't know what I'll be getting.
Would you like some whiskey salsa?
So I decided, give me something prepackaged that has an expiration date that I can verify first.
I got home a little early, so I ate dinner before. I had potato and
What did you eat? How old was that potato?
I just made it like a week and a half ago.
How old was it before you made it?
I don't know.
Okay. Is it like sprouting and
no,
trying to grow through your floor?
I had baked it.
Okay.
Killed off those sprouty bits.
This episode's off to a bang.
we rambled about my food, your clapping abilities.
The last one was down to business right out of the gate. This one's going to be just garbage for a half hour, which is why people tune in, because you never know what you're going to get.
I'm going to cackle like an old woman for a while.
It's like going to Burger King. You can order the same Whopper every day for a week, and they'll all be different.
When you said Burger King, it reminded me of the Burger King drive-thru incident that we had with the baby / microphone tattoo. That was episode
I love that
2 or whatever.
We still haven't come to a consensus on what it was.
I still believe it was a microphone. No, did you say it was a microphone? I said it was a baby. I don't remember.
No, you said it was a microphone.
Yeah, it was a microphone. I still think it was a microphone.
I wasn't going to argue with old 6'5", 400-pound guy. I wasn't going to argue. He can be whatever he wanted to be.
Butt crack hanging out. And
how do you like your burger? Not from you. That's how I like it.
With as little butt crack hair as you can possibly put in there, please.
Should we start this one over?
No, we should keep going.
I don't know about YouTube Gold, but it's something. We're in a mood today.
Is there a brown?
YouTube, I don't know.
Don't go down that road.
We're not going there.
There's funny things down there, but don't go down that road. Doug's trying to pull it together. He's normally trying to rein me in. He has lost the reins.
No,
horses are running.
Yeah, I'll explain why I'm so tired out, but I don't even care. That's how tired I am. Normally, I'm the governor. Nope, not today.
And I'm taking full advantage of his tiredness.
So I had another odd thought today. It was actually more depressing than anything. You know, when you're young and, you know, your birthday's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get presents and stuff you want.
Yeah.
This was like an age gauge moment for me. So my birthday's in about 2 weeks. In fact, I think it's 2 weeks on the nose.
Yep.
And Jenny always asks me, what do you want me to get you? And I'm like, all the stuff I want's really expensive. I'm just going to save up and buy it.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. It's hard to choose birthday gifts because I've got most of the little knicky-knack type of stuff. So it's usually something boring now. And this is how boring it's gotten. So I've got her Fusion now. We've got her Expedition. We've moved her into that. That's her vehicle.
Yep.
I've got the Fusion, and I drive that everywhere, including to a race like this past weekend. Well, it was a big muddy disaster, and the stock floor mats in that from Ford are like a carpeted 8.5 by 11 piece of paper.
Yeah.
They do nothing. So I went out and picked out myself a nice set of those Husky liners. They're like the WeatherTechs, but they're American made. They're just a different company, and they're a little bit cheaper, which is why I like them so much.
Yes.
I told her that's what I want for my birthday.
Hey,
I want floor mats. No, 8-year-old me just died. Like the 8-year-old inside of me is like, nope, we're done.
When the 8-year-old inside of you dies is when you say, I want floor mats and I want like spare carpet sample squares that I can put over top of them to keep my floor mats nice.
Yeah, no, I'm not going that far. But if you've never bought Husky liners, I mean, for our audience out there, they're really super nice. They're a little spendy.
Yeah.
There's $120 for both front mats and like a one-piece big, huge one that went over the back. But they fit like a glove, and they're really thick. They're super durable. And when they get dirty, you just pull them out, hose them off, dry them off, and throw them back in again.
I run the same thing in my truck, but they're not Husky ones. Ford actually makes some deep ones that are like an inch or so deep that are rubberized. I like the rubberized better than the plasticky ones. I don't know if the Husky ones are plasticky or not.
Yeah, they're basically plasticky.
Yeah, that's why I don't like the WeatherTech ones. They're plastic. I don't like that. I like the rubbery because it doesn't sound and it feels better under your feet, and you can still take them out and dump them and everything else. But yeah, Ford makes them like...
But they don't make them for their cars. They only make them for their trucks.
Right, because they figure people that are driving the cars aren't out there
in
in
like
mud.
Carpet. Yeah. Well, I was looking at it today. It's the first day I've taken it to work. It's all there's mud caked in the wheel wells, and it's all down the sides and everything.
All the guys at work are convinced that I am just like this. Well, I am this giant redneck who just. I come in and like mud is falling off of my truck in the parking lot normally because it's raining or something, and like. You know, everyone around me, there's people driving Lexuses and everything else, and nice cars and nice trucks too. And mine is the one with like a mud ring around it because the rain washed it off in the parking lot there.
Speaking of rednecks, so the race this weekend, I got Andy good. So the the podium banner.
Yep.
The old pipe was bent and it was too short. The new banner, I guess, is wider. He had it made the width of this fifth wheel trailer. Gooseneck trailer he's buying.
Yeah.
Because he's going to use that as the podium and he can use it to haul equipment, and it, serves multiple purposes. So he buys this big banner, so he has to get a wider or longer pipe. Well, he gets a different diameter pipe and it won't fit through, the top of it's looped over and sewn.
Yeah.
It won't fit. We get like 3 inches in and it's so tight we're like twisting, and he's like, well, come on, push a little harder. I'm like, dude, there's like 40 feet of banner. Maybe not that. There's like 20 feet of banner. We're 8 inches into this and it's not working.
Yeah, you're not going to get that.
So in, redneck engineering fashion, Luke Groh comes over and he's like, well, we could just take a Phillips screwdriver and just use it like a hole punch and go down, and then take zip ties and go through and tie wrap it, to the pipe.
You gotta do.
You do what you got to do. So we get through all that, and Andy goes through and laces all these zip ties through, and they're backwards from, like, they're just flipped 180 from the way they should be to do what Luke wanted to do. And I instantly saw what was going on. I walk over there to start doing them. I flip them around and start redoing them. And Andy's over there looking at it going, well, how is this going to work? I said, how in the world does a redneck from Greenfield not know how to use a tie wrap? He just looks at me and goes, that's a really good, valid point.
And Andy has that southern twang to his voice that would fit perfectly in there.
I'm not even going to try and duplicate it, but I was just cracking up. I couldn't resist. Like, it's one of those things where that filter in my brain that's normally pretty good, a lot better than yours. Totally off, man. I didn't even stop.
See, I had that filter probably at some point, but then I took
so many blows to the head
and just like blasted these giant holes in the filter to where there's nothing there anymore.
I think you just hit your head that many times.
Probably. That's okay.
Anyways.
I have drain damage.
So you guys, we got to make a show out of this somehow.
Oh, we have rambled for like 10 minutes of nothingness.
I love it. We're going to have a real tough time keeping this to an hour. So for those of you who are new to the show, they're not all like this, but they're all this bad. They're just different degrees of bad. But you can find this show on actually the easiest place is YouTube. You can look for Eminent Waste of Time or Eminent Performance. That'll find our channel. And if you're looking for the podcast version, we are available on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio.
Yep.
Assuming you really want to come back for more.
Yep. Let's hope they do. Let's hope they find us like a train wreck. They just can't look away. Look at those guys. They're just digging that hole deeper and deeper.
So one quick thing from last week, we asked for name suggestions, and we got 4, and we haven't got any more.
We
have
need more.
We need more.
We need more.
We have constantly praised you guys as an awesome listening audience, and that you've spread the word, and the show is growing. I mean, our numbers are growing week on week right now. We appreciate that, but I got to admit, a little bit let down.
Yeah.
I was expecting some really good stuff out of you guys for names.
I was expecting a lot of people to chime in. We have not gotten it so far.
I don't know that it's wise to say that our listening audience is a huge disappointment to us, but we've broken every other rule for making a good show, so we'll just continue down that path.
Yep.
So if you've got ideas to name Chad side by side, even if you don't know him personally, if you've listened to enough of this, you should kind of feel like you know him personally.
I am the same me here as I am off of here.
Yeah.
Correct?
For better or worse, yes. What? I'm still trying to figure out why I moved down here.
Shenanigans. To be closer to the shenanigans.
That's true. You know when you hear the story and you wish you were a part of it? I just jumped right into that end of the pool.
And then he's like, I went out. No. You're here.
Then I realized I couldn't swim, and so now I'm just kind of bobbing around.
Come on in. The water's fine. You got to say the second part kind of creepy like, and then it's funnier.
Oh, Lord. So anyways, you guys want to hear more about XC racing, and we've actually got some of that for you. Yeah. Well, I do. Chad was a big sissy and didn't come out this weekend.
I was laid up on the couch.
He had a really bad case of I can't work.
No, actually, I went to work. I just didn't go to the other night.
You just didn't help me.
Yeah, well, I was perfectly fine with that one.
I know you are.
I don't know what I did to myself, but I tore my ankle up pretty bad, and it's the one I broke. Well, there's another stupid story with Chad. I broke my ankle when I was younger. We'll tell that one maybe at the end even.
There you go.
But I broke my ankle when I was younger, and it's the same one that I haven't really had a whole lot of problems with it, but man, this weekend, like Friday, by the end of the day, I couldn't walk on it. And then Saturday, I couldn't walk on it. I mean...
How's it doing today?
Better.
Yeah, I'll bet it is.
I would have much rather been out there than laying on the couch. I drove my wife nuts, I'm sure, because she likes to stay home and kind of relax on a Saturday. And I'm like, I have got to do something. And I'm climbing the walls and like crawling around. She's like, sit down, you're pacing. I'm like, I got to do something. I'm hobbling around and...
I'd say I'm dying for one of those Saturdays myself, but I'd probably sit for about 2 hours and that'd be it.
Yeah.
It's just hard to turn it off.
I don't sit well. I don't just do nothing well. So,
well, there were 2 races around the area. One about the MWXC race, which was about 15 minutes from Chad's place, about 20 from mine, and the IXCR race, which was about an hour and change south of us.
Yeah.
And the weather this weekend was less than ideal.
Crap.
So, yeah, basically starting Friday night, it started raining. Now, the soil around here is already saturated. We told you a couple episodes ago we had one day with 5 inches of rain, and there was standing water in farmers' fields for, weeks. Up until this rain. Actually, there were still farmers that were flooded out.
Yeah.
And so there's some sort of test that they do. Basically, you just take a ball of dirt, and if you can pack it into a ball like a snowball and it stays, it's the soil's oversaturated. You can't plant.
Yeah.
And that's how everything around here is. Well, then we decided, let's get some more rain. So most of you who are listening probably saw it was a national news story about this huge front that went through basically from west to east across the country, extended from the UP of Michigan, like all the way down to the Gulf.
Yeah.
And so we were warm enough here, we didn't get any snow out of it, but it rained all night Friday. And so by Saturday morning, it was already a mess down there. And then you start pulling vehicles in.
And we are not on sand, we're on clay. Everything around here is clay.
Yeah. So it doesn't drain. And when you start pulling vehicles over repeatedly, it just turns into
soft mush.
This big slop that never drains. It just sits there.
Yeah. It'll hold water for weeks sometimes.
So the rain finally cleared up about noon or so on Saturday. And actually the track started to tack up a little bit because the AM quads, we had to delay things because of the rain. So the AM quads ran, and they actually kind of blew off the top layer of that stuff, and there was a nice, not dry, but firm layer underneath that. So the PM quads actually didn't have it too bad. And I thought, man, you know what? If the weather just cooperates a little bit, we'll be fine for the rest of this weekend. Like Sunday, it's going to be colder, but the track's actually going to be pretty darn decent.
Yeah.
Enter Saturday night. It rains all night Saturday night and most of Sunday till about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was an absolute disaster out there on that track.
Yeah.
And one of the worst parts was there's a couple creeks through that property that we actually raced through. It kept going up and up and up. Like it probably raised, 8 inches to maybe almost a foot.
Yeah.
And we were sending the Pee-wees through that. So the Pee-wee quads got through it on day one. The Pee-wee bikes,
there's no way.
It was up to the tank.
Yeah.
And so like literally I start the race and right before I start, I tell all the parents, as soon as they go, I need you to run to that creek crossing. And every able-bodied adult needs to be like ferrying bikes across it because they only had to cross it once and then the rest of their track was on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys need to literally like just start ferrying bikes across this creek because the faster riders, the little more competent ones, might be able to handle it because the current was pretty stiff.
Yeah.
I'm like the really unsure, 6-year-olds, there ain't no way.
No.
So that was all kinds of fun.
Yeah.
So needless to say, it was a pretty rough weekend weather-wise, and Sunday the temperature just kept falling and falling. I mean, it was down in the low 40s, upper 30s, pretty stout wind, and it just wet. Everything got wet in the morning, and it never dried out because it was cold all day.
Yeah. Cold and no sun, and it was just not good.
So that was neat for our second race of the season. Mother Nature has not been particularly kind so far this year, at least not in the Midwest.
Now, at least MWXC had their Sunday races. IXCR canceled.
Yeah, their property is basically a dried out riverbed.
It was a bowl.
Yeah, and so it doesn't dry out under really good conditions, and when you get the kind of rain we did, it just gets that much worse. So however bad it was on the property we were on, it was 10 times as bad where they were. And for them to cancel a race, especially since the two were going head-to-head, and some podcasts we may try and do a summary of the history between IXCR and MWXC, but it's kind of a little bit of a chippy relationship there. And so going head to head, I'm sure it killed them that they had to cancel on Sunday. But we actually got some IXCR racers that just,
beelined it.
Put everything back in the truck and go straight an hour north. And we picked up some of their racers and we made a day of it.
Yeah. I was watching, I've seen like Mike Plank posted some of his pictures from the race, and the start line was easily 8 inches deep of just mud for acres.
I don't doubt it.
Just horrible looking conditions. Now the funny thing is he races an 800 Razor still, and he was saying that he was the only 800 on the line.
We only had one 800 on the line at MWXC as well.
Which I didn't put it on the list, but it does beg the question, are the 800s going away? I mean, there used to be a lot more of them.
Honestly, yes. I think other than trail machines, the real people still want, for certain situations, they want the 50-inch wide. I think other than that application where you don't need more than 800, because if you put 1,000 cc in a 50-inch wide machine with no suspension travel, you're basically asking for a world of pain.
Yeah.
So I think other than that, I'll bet you the sales numbers on them are just abysmal.
Well, yeah, but in my mind, you would think that would pick up on the racing part of it, because people say it's a cheap machine that can be had cheap. There's already a readily available class for them. You know, it's not a $20,000 machine I'm going to tear up. It's a $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 machine that I'm going to tear up. It's an easier thing to stomach. So it kind of made me question.
Yeah, but everybody, as their racing skills improve, it's really hard to race and just be content with competing with your class. When you're out there running hard in an 800 and some dude in a XP Turbo or a X3 or something, I mean, just demolishes you, blows by you like your foot's not even on the throttle.
Yeah.
It's hard to not want to be a part of that.
I fully agree. And
now, see, I'm with you. Honestly, I've really debated. I know your brother wants to sell his CF Moto. I've really debated about picking it up from him cheap and just, putting it back into race mode like we had yours and just take it out there and beat it.
Yeah.
Narrow it up as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to leave the fenders on, even though they're going to get torn up, so I can see the outside a little bit easier, and I'm just going to have some fun with it.
You could. I mean, it'd be a good way to get into it, for sure.
Ron Teague, the guy with that little 570.
Yeah.
I was asking him, he actually bought a CF Moto 1000.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I said, well, how do you like it? He goes, oh, man, I love it. He goes, that's a whole different ball game than that little 570. I'm like, oh, it is. I said, so when are you going to race? He goes, I'm not racing that thing. I said, are you done racing? He goes, no, I'm putting my 570 back together. I tore it up last year. He goes, my buddy's putting it back together. I'll be out here next week with it, or 2 weeks from now. I was like, that's awesome.
Ron's this old, I don't know, he's probably, 60-something years old, maybe?
Yeah.
Around 60 anyway.
Doesn't have a tooth in his head.
Not a tooth in his head. He doesn't race with, like, a motocross-style helmet. He's got, like, the old, like, bubble helmets.
Like from Chips, that totally, they encase your whole head, but the whole face is open. There's nothing that goes across the chin or anything.
Yeah.
Just the old open face helmet.
That's what he races in. Nicest guy you'd ever want to meet.
Oh, man, he'd give you the shirt off his back. I mean, he's just super nice guy. I love talking to him.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the new machine there, Ron. If I don't see you, or if you listen to this, I don't know if you do. But, see, and that's my thought. So you can pick up those old 570s dirt cheap.
Oh, yeah.
You can pick up, like the Arctic Cat Wildcat 700s, and they do really well. They run up with the 800s pretty well. You can pick up a Razor. There's still, a little more.
See, I think that's part of it is a decent Razor. I mean, like an 800 that's been fairly well taken care of, because a lot of guys don't want to buy a complete beater. They want something semi-reliable. They're still commanding $5,000-ish plus price tags.
Right. But for the fun you have for $5,000.
Yeah, I think it's got to get down to where they're beat down into the $3,000 range before people really start, you know what? I'll take it out there and just beat it. I really think they almost have to fall that far.
Could be. You could pick up an old Rhino or something, but they're not fast.
They're not fast, but you'd make it around the track.
Yeah, those things are, they're bulletproof.
For not yours. You blew the crap out of yours.
Yeah, it held together. I blew a couple axles out of it, but...
You blew the engine case out of it.
It happens.
They're bulletproof unless Chad touches it.
Well, I had a C-clip come off the wet clutch, and it flung the weights, and they let go, and then they become projectiles, and then inside parts become outside parts. So,
what was the quote from the guy who saw what happened, though? I've never seen that happen before.
Yes.
And this guy's built like hundreds
of them, yes. And I did it.
You are the special snowflake.
Look at me go.
But yeah, that is a lot of the fun of it, is just taking a machine out there. I mean, I have no delusions of grandeur of being competitive in the pro class or anything like that. I just want to go out there and have fun on a cheap machine. So I do think there is always going to be a class of that. But I think most people it's hard to not want to upgrade. I mean, I really think the only reason Mike Plank didn't this year is he just couldn't quite get his machine sold in time and get a new one prepped, because you know how it is. You've got
Yeah.
a lot of work to do to get one prepped. So he ran it again, and man, he's just killing it this year in that machine.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he's doing great.
I'm guessing in his heart of hearts, he still would like to be in 1,000. And my guess is, based on his performance this year, he has to move up because he's a really solid driver.
Yeah. Well, it's something to think about. I mean, I wouldn't mind. Now, financially this year, I can't swing going and getting a new Turbo XP plus picking up or keeping another side-by-side
Yeah.
to race. It financially, I couldn't swing it this year. I'm not making anything from all of this right now. It's just money going away. So I had to get rid of the CF Moto that we raced. But man, you could pick up a cheap one and just put it together enough to run it, and it would be a hoot.
I mean, with everything we learned from racing yours, I know what to do to make it the way I want it right out of the gate. There's
Yep.
no experimentation. I know what wheels I want on that sucker.
Yeah.
I know everything about how I want it set up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I will fully admit I made thousands of dollars of mistakes, not just racing it, but in prep that I would have done differently.
Yeah. But that's how you learn.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's born knowing how to race. I
No.
mean, everybody learns something from somewhere.
Got out there and I was like, oh, crap, that was a wrong choice, and that was a wrong choice, and that was a wrong choice. But it's like I'm not going to, take off $1,000 worth of parts just to have them sit in my garage to go buy another $1,000 worth of parts
Yeah.
just because.
When you're already losing, our pardon me, our kind of rough guesstimation of $1,500 a race already.
Yeah.
It becomes kind of hard to swallow. So, but Plank said he did the first thing his first season. He made a bunch of mistakes in setup, and he corrected them second season, which was last year, and that's when he really took off.
Yeah. And he's doing great.
Yeah, last race he was first in the 800s, first in the 900s, and unofficially he was first in the thousands.
Yeah. Not this last weekend, but the weekend before.
Yeah, the weekend prior.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shoot.
In an 800. And he didn't finish half bad this one.
What, 7th overall?
7th overall out of 20-something machines, I think it was.
Yeah. And he deliberately kind of held back and tried to run his own race because the conditions were so bad. He was not pushing as hard as he normally would be. But he and his co-driver just made some smart line decisions early. And man, that's what makes or breaks you out there.
Yeah. He did say that they had IXCR had a creek jump for the side-by-sides. And he said it almost didn't make it the last time around because it was getting so weighed down with mud.
800 pounds of mud, and that poor 800's like, no.
Yeah. You got to think, you got two 200-pound guys in there, and then you put 800 pounds of mud on it. That's a lot of weight on that side-by-side, and you've been running it hard for an hour.
Yeah. And you don't have the fancy dynamic suspension on there. Just put it on full firm and stand it up a little bit. You don't have that luxury.
No, you don't. So,
So it was an interesting weekend racing. It really was. We ended up having to combine the bikes on Sunday because we normally start 8:30 is youth, round about 10:15 is peewee, adult is 11:30 a.m., adult AM is 11:30, and then adult PM is 2. And then we do side-by-side on Saturday, of course, and that's right about 5.
right about 5 or 6 or 7.
It just depends on the track conditions. Well, we were going to start at 8:30, but the track really wasn't quite ready, and then we heard IXCR canceled, so we bumped it back to 9. We thought we're going to give people a little bit of time to get up here because we knew they're going to come.
Yeah.
They've got their machines prepped. They're loaded. Their bikes are in the back of their trucks. They want to race.
Yeah.
So that turns into 9:30. And then 10, and then 11, we finally kick the youth off.
Yeah.
Because the track was that bad. We literally had to route around every single hill. There's no way. The faster youth probably would have made it up some of the hills, but the little 65s and stuff, back in rows of 4 and 5, there was no way they were making it up those hills. In fact, a lot of the youth bikes were out because they burn up clutches.
Yeah.
You just couldn't do it. So
too much weight, too much mud, too much resistance, and everything else. It just doesn't work.
yeah, they're just not built for that kind of abuse. So they finally take off at 11. Our winners of that race. Now the youth they run for 45 plus a lap typically.
Yeah.
Our fastest youth turned 3 laps. The top 5 turned 3 laps on about a 6-ish mile course. The next 5 down, 5 or 6, I think, only turned 2 laps. The rest of the course, 64 youth, only turned 1 lap. I was watching kids come in at the 2 hour and 20 minute mark. That was their first lap.
Yeah.
There's this big muddy ravine. You've seen Blues Brothers, haven't
Yeah.
you?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the car chase at the end when all those cop cars are coming off that jump and they're just like stacking up and they're just that's what it was like down there. There's just kids like if you walked out there, you just see this sea of kids stuck everywhere. So we're doing our darndest to get them out and get them running. But that youth race, 45 plus a lap, took us until, I'm trying to remember, I think the Pee-wees started at 2. So 3 hours to get that race cleaned up and then get the Pee-wee started. So the Pee-wee race, it wasn't too bad because it's only a mile track. And I like I told you, I warned the adults, go to the creek crossing, help them across that. As soon as they're across that, if you're able-bodied, go over to this hill because they do have an uphill. We can't route around it. Otherwise, they're only going to have like a 500-foot track.
Yeah.
So they have to go up this hill, but a lot of these little PW50s in the mud, they're just not moving. The little KTMs and all that, they're not going anywhere. So you've got all these adults. I wish I had some video of it, but you just see this line of adults like grabbing the handlebars and you hear these little wee just wound out and the parents are dragging them up the hills.
Yeah.
So that was the Pee-wee race. And by that point, we got the adult race started 3:30, I think, something like that.
But normally that's the AM bikes that would be running first.
Yeah. So
and the AM bikes start at like 11 or 12?
11:30.
Yeah, something like that.
So if we had started them at their normal time, we wouldn't have started PM bikes till like nightfall.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally going to be that bad. So we ended up just combining the classes, which creates another problem because our computer system is now set up for split AM and PM. You can't just put it back. You can't just tell, everyone's going to be in the same class or in the same race now.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
So we ended up throwing everybody together into one race. And so it read as row 1, pros, row 1, C open, row 2, A open, row 2, C lights. Like there was duplicate rows of everything. And we lined them up. Rows 1 through 11 were the PM rows. So you had pro, A open, that kind of stuff.
Because they're going to be the faster ones. We don't want them to get stuck behind the slower riders.
Right. And then we lined up starting on row 12. That was row 1 of the AM. So row 12 was your C open. Row 13 was your C lights and so on further back until row 20 was your trail rider. So I had to dismiss 20 rows off the line.
Yep.
I mean, row 19.
Just go.
Just go. So we finally get everybody kicked off, and actually it was a pretty good race. There's about 176 racers, which normally we have more than that just in AM alone.
Yeah.
But a lot of people left the track. Well, they didn't leave the track. They didn't even show up because of the weather. So it was just a really, really poor turnout because of all that. But you know what? It ended up being fine. It was really kind of a unique race. A lot of the guys thought it was a ton of fun to do it that way for a change. And results were a little hairy because Erica, who does all the scoring, she had to go home then and take those the one race and split them into 2 so that we had meaningful overalls.
Yeah.
Because the overall was just everybody.
Yeah.
So all the normal AM riders were just buried way down the list. So it was a really, really interesting weekend.
Yep. No, it was a wet one, and then today we had snow.
Yeah, why not? It's Indiana. And then
mid-April. We shouldn't
by Wednesday it's supposed to be in the 60s and sunny again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm over this.
There wasn't anything really super crazy that happened this weekend, though. I mean, other than the fact that everybody was carrying 1,800 pounds of mud with them across the line.
Yeah.
There really wasn't any crazy mishaps. I mean, the standout feature of this past weekend was just that everybody was exceptionally patient. Usually tempers flare. People are upset because, like those youth, some of them showed up for the 9 o'clock start. They were on the line in the rain for 2 hours before we started them.
Yeah.
And normally that's where you start getting people really upset, especially parents. There were a few that were a little testy, and I was able to talk them off the ledge. But for the most part, I can't tell you how many people came up and just said, hey, we really appreciate all you guys are doing. They'd ask me a question about where they need to line up or what time something was going to start. And I'm kind of waiting to get like a bunch of grief about it. Never happened. I mean, everybody was just super patient, super cool. They were just really grateful that we had gone to all that effort to give them a race that day when we could have just said, you know what, the conditions stink. Our track crew's like beat up and tired. We're not doing this. And that was really, really cool to see.
Yeah. I will attest last year, because we had several of these mud races, that when you're a track sweeping out there, those mud races, not only are you wading through the mud all the time, but you'll have quads and everybody gets stuck and it gets that suction on the skid plates and just holds them down.
Oh, yeah.
You're literally picking up quads all day and setting them to the side so that they can get traction to get going. And several races, like the PMs are an hour and a half. It would be a solid hour and a half of doing nothing but standing in one place, picking up a quad, moving it to the side, pushing them as they're trying to get up the hill and get them out of there. And then stand right back in the same hole you were just in and do it again. And you do that for about 2 hours. And then you get back on your quad and you go ride the track to see who's stuck and who's broke down because you got to tow them out. It makes for a long day.
Yeah.
A really long day. And if you've done it 2 days in a row, it makes for a really long weekend, especially if you're going back to work on Monday.
Absolutely. So huge props to the track guys, the sweeps out there. I know some of the people from the race series actually are foolish enough to listen to this podcast, and I was exhausted. It was a busy weekend because I was running back and forth. I was doing anything I could to help anybody out. I mean, at one point I was hauling trash because cans needed emptied.
Yeah.
When you've got that kind of time when the track sweeps are trying to get everything cleaned up, you got time. So I'm running around. I mean, I was on my feet the whole time, lugging equipment around. I was tired, and I could only imagine how tired they were. I mean, I'm not trying to say, look at me, all the work I did. I know they were doing more than I was. And so, yeah, just props to everybody who pulled together and got the thing done. There was one cool thing that happened. Maverick Smith,
Yep.
my little guy,
Yep.
he was on the overall podium.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got second place overall. So that was his first time on a podium where it wasn't just like a plaque placement,
Right.
but he was actually in the overall.
Very nice.
So that was pretty cool.
Moving up in the world.
Yeah.
And last year was his first time.
Last year was his first time. His first few races, he was, like 17th in his row and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then he starts creeping up and doing better and better. And now the kid's up on the podium. He's going to be a good. I mean, if he keeps on this trend, I know it's Pee-wee, but there's a vast amount of improvement that's happened there.
Yep.
And if he keeps, being serious about racing, he could be dangerous in 3 or 4 years up in the youth.
Yeah. Well, it'd be good. That's interesting to see. Neat stuff. So
we had, the other thing I found, I don't have any confirmation of this, but remember the guy from Iowa at round 1?
yeah.
Very complimentary during the race, and then he put that really nice Facebook post up.
Yeah.
There were probably 8 to 10 racers from Iowa this weekend.
They came out.
Because he said he was going to go back and tell his friends. I thought, well, yeah, he might tell them. And they went, oh, that's cool. I'm glad you had a good time. There were 8 to 10. I didn't get an exact count, but just every sheet I read, every race, there's somebody from Iowa, both bikes and quads.
Huh.
So they're coming this way, a long way this way.
That's about 8 hours, depending where they're from.
Oh, yeah.
That's a long way to drive. That's interesting. That could make a series real big, real quick.
Yeah, so I really didn't think much of it until I got to the third race. I was like, there's been at least one person from Iowa in every single race.
That's interesting.
So I thought that was pretty cool that, the guy really kept on his word, and he's been talking about us over there, and people are interested.
Neat stuff. That's really neat.
So that was it was a good weekend of racing, despite the fact that it was just a giant muddy mess. And I don't have any really, hilarious stories, but just a lot of fun. And it's always neat to see people just pull together and enjoy the sport for what it is. The conditions are not always going to be ideal. Who cares?
Yep.
Everyone seemed like they had fun. I mean, even the pros I mean, they're out there to have fun, but they're pros too. Sometimes they get really serious.
Yeah.
Even the pros were just kind of, they just seemed like they were out there to have fun with it because the conditions stunk, and let's just go see what we can do.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to just get out there in the worst conditions possible and see what it'll do. So it's fun sometimes. So
I'm looking at wow.
I told you I put some stuff on there.
You did put some stuff. I'm just looking at the time clock already. Holy cats.
Yeah.
So, Chad, you are finally maybe sort of going to go co-pilot
Yeah.
this next, what is it, 2 weeks?
2 weeks from this last weekend.
28th and 29th.
Yep. No, I'm going to be riding with Steve. And you may be going.
Yeah, I'm going to take him up on it. There's no way I'm not riding.
Okay.
So Mike Plank, who we've been talking about in his 800, he offered us a chance to co-drive with him. So Chad's already spoken for, and I was going to arm wrestle you for it anyways because I really want to ride with Mike. So
That's fine.
We might both actually be, well, I'll be in the seat I'm used to.
Yep, because he's got the same razor seats as what we're sitting in.
Okay, Steve, I know you're listening, and this is going to get out before that race. You need to take the grab bar out of the passenger side and put a fake steering wheel on a bearing so Chad he's going to have something to act like he's driving because he'll go nuts without it.
With one of those little honky horns in the center?
You need to make that happen.
Oh.
But yeah, it was actually really neat to see Steve out there racing this past race.
Yep.
To actually see the machine. I got to see our Eminent Performance logo
We're on there.
the machine.
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about that too much, but Steve put our logo on there. We're officially kind of sort of a sponsor and all that. I mean, it's good.
We sponsor him with lots of talk.
Yes, we do.
Well, actually, that's one thing I almost forgot to bring up, the dynamic suspension.
Yeah.
So there was a spot, and Steve, you're going to have to correct me here. I don't think it was a creek crossing, but it might have been, or it might have been a berm or something like that he was trying to get over. So basically, side by side in front of him, can't get over it. He tries it, can't get over it. And he backs up, puts the dynamics in full firm to gain a little ride height. Right over it, past that other one.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the sweetest thing ever. So it was cool to see it in operation, though, to actually see him be able to
utilize it.
Make it a suspension adjustment that put him past another UTV that couldn't get around.
There you go. That's neat.
The only downfall for him was he adjusted his clutching. You know how it is with racers.
Yeah.
You always want to tweak.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have tweaked. His belt started overheating.
Yeah.
Because I watched one long straightaway, and he's not really moving. And he kind of pulls over and lets somebody by him, and I'm like, "What is he doing over there?" Because
smoking his belt.
I purposely didn't announce the race. I was like, there was nobody around. It was so late, everyone had left.
Yeah.
Like, nobody cares. I'm gonna go watch this thing.
Yeah.
So I took the Ranger and I was driving around to different points in the track watching, and I was like, something's not right. Something's wrong, really wrong. He's just trying to get it to last the race right now. I could tell that much.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that's what it was. I was like, I'll bet his belt's on fire.
He said I think he blew a tire.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
He blew one last race too. Got to watch those tires.
Yeah. He talked himself out of tire spines.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need them. They're super expensive. And now all of a sudden he's just losing tires left and right.
I think with what he's blown this year already in tires, he would have paid for the tire spines.
Because the tight chicanes at the finish line?
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to come in, and I knew something was wrong. I couldn't see the side that he had blown it on from the angle he was at, but he's doing the whole like, wait, like getting the front end to lift and then trying to turn hard while the front end's taking the weight off of it and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I bet he's got a tire down. Sure enough, he finally turns enough, and that thing's just like flopping around on the rim.
Yep.
But it was really, really neat to see that dynamic suspension, him just make an adjustment and right on through.
That's neat. That's pretty neat stuff.
So,
yep,
there you
I'll
go.
get to ride in it. I'll get to see what it feels like.
He's going to be smacking your hands because you're going to be playing with buttons and adjusting his suspension.
What does this do? What does this do?
Okay, Steve, nix the steering wheel. You need to bring handcuffs is what you need to bring.
Maybe. Oh.
So there's one other thing on the list right here real quick that we probably don't have time for. We're going to ask about anyways. You said the side-by-side blog offered $500 cash prize for Laughlin Leap at UTV World Championship.
Yep. So the guys that do side-by-side blog, they're up there in Michigan. Check them out. They're on YouTube. And they also have sidebysideblog.com, which is where they write blogs. But they don't do that near as much anymore. These guys have really exploded in the last couple of years and really gotten popular. And we have no affiliation or tie with them or anything else. They really don't know who we are or anything, but I watch their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
They got invited out to Laughlin for the UTV World Championships, and they offered, along with some other companies that threw in stuff, but they offered $500 for what they called the Laughlin Leap, and it was basically a side-by-side jumping contest.
Nice.
Like for distance.
Yeah.
Longest jump there that day, and the jump was they didn't build it, it was somebody else built it. It was kind of flat. I mean, it was really more driving off of the top than...
It was falling with style rather than flying.
Yeah, the jump didn't have an up. It was just like you drove from an elevated position and sailed as far as you could.
Okay.
But the guy who went the furthest was in a Can-Am X3, which the Laughlin whole thing is sponsored by Polaris. But the X3, he went 116 feet 9 inches. That's a real jump.
That's not bad. So what was the roughly? I mean, since you describe it as basically flat and then driving off a ledge,
yeah.
What was the drop? Do you know roughly?
The drop it kind of, it wasn't very far the closer you got to the lip.
Sure.
It wasn't like a straight drop. It was a hill down. So they had markers at 50, 100, and 150 feet. And at that distance where they were going from, they were probably dropping a good 15 feet, 10 or 15 feet, somewhere in that range.
That's significant then.
I mean, these Razors and X3s with real suspension, real nice suspension, were fully bottoming out and then slapping, like doing slap wheelies. So it was a real drop.
I'd like to watch it. I would not like to do it in a machine I owned.
I'd do it. What's the worst that happens? You blow your suspension off.
All right, next year, whenever they do this again, let's do it.
We get invited out there. It's a long way to haul something.
Just to blow it up.
They drove it out there. So there's the 3 friends is really what it is who make up Side by Side blog, and they drug 3 side-by-sides out there on a big trailer that they have, and it's like 33 hours of drive time to get out there.
Oh yeah.
It's a long
That is a
way out
very
there.
Yeah, that's probably a bit much.
So,
all right, is it trivia time?
it is trivia.
Do you
time.
have trivial trivia?
No, I have awesome trivia.
You do not. You never have awesome trivia. It's
You
always
shut
about
your
pig
mouth.
sweat glands that don't exist, and cow belches and stuff.
You make it sound like it's all about farm animals.
Well, given where we live, it's probably relevant, but still.
True story. Okay, are you ready, Douglas?
As I'll ever be.
Okay, question number 1. What U.S. state was Steak and Shake founded in?
I don't actually know, but their headquarters is in Indianapolis, so I'll say Indiana.
No, it is Illinois.
Boo. But they're here now.
They are here now.
Yeah, they're right smack downtown. I saw this big sign on the side of the building, like an old, 40-style vertical sign.
Yeah.
It's a Steak and Shake. I thought, they just have like a really nice restaurant here or something? No, that's their headquarters.
Didn't know it was down there, so.
I like them less now that I know they're from Illinois, but
Yeah, sorry.
sorry, Steve.
Yeah. Question number 2. What is the fear of contamination and germs known as?
There's probably a more technical name than germaphobe, but
Yes, there is.
microscopic bugophobia,
No. Mesophobia.
mesophobia.
I assume it's pronounced that. It's MYSO phobia.
Yeah, I don't know.
Meso, something like that. I don't know.
I have no idea what the prefix means, so that's interesting.
No idea.
Now I'll have to go look that up.
Yep. Question number 3. Where did Kevin's parents go for Christmas in the 1990 movie Home Alone? This is testing your remembrance because I'm sure you've seen it. It's just been many years.
The second one, they went to like Hawaii or something. Where did they go in the first one? They live in Chicago, France.
Yes,
They went to France.
did. They went to France.
Took me a second.
There you go. You got one right so far.
I just remember his disgusting older brother going, I heard French chicks don't shave their pits or something like that. That's sadly what made me think of that.
Yep, good job. Okay, question number 4. What tanker ran aground in Prince William Sound, Alaska on March 24th, 1989?
Was that the Exxon Valdez?
Yes, it was.
I was wanting to say that Juan Valdez. I'm like, no, he's the coffee guy.
Juan Valdez ran aground there.
All his coffee beans spilled off his donkey.
All the coffee is in the water now.
All the fish are caffeinated.
All right. Question number 5. What boxer is memorialized by a giant fist outside Detroit's
Joe
Renaissance
Louis.
Center? Yes, it is Joe Louis. I threw in some easy ones for you here towards the middle and end because you haven't been doing so stellar.
You've been asking me weird stuff. Okay, I do like trivia, but I like trivia about stuff I'm interested in, not pigs and stuff. You're broadening my horizons, though. I'm always interested to learn.
I tried to give you some that you would know, and I figured Doug's a Detroit fan. He'll know this one.
And if it's there's double jeopardy for me, but for you, it's awesome because either A, you look like a nice guy, or B, I look like a
moron.
doof because I don't know. So thanks.
No problem. Giving you a chance to fail or succeed here.
Chad, heads I win, tails you lose, Shoemaker.
Yes. Question number 6. What is the only mammal naturally capable of true and sustained flight?
What do you mean? They all have to land at some point.
Well.
Oh, mammal.
Mammal. Yeah. That's what I was like. Whoa,
Oh,
what
sorry.
do you mean? Mammals, yes. Bird, not mammals.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I was thinking, yeah. I'm assuming it's a bat.
You are correct. It is a bat. Oh, very good. Question number 7.
Thought maybe there's some other weird animal I wasn't aware of. I was like, is this a trick question? Because bat's the only actual flying mammal.
The winged platypus. Okay, question 7. Who is the lead guitarist in the band The Who?
No, that's the bassist.
You better get this one because like here's a underhand softball pitch for you.
I can't think of his name. Roger something.
Seriously?
I can't remember, dude.
Pete Townsend.
Pete Townsend. There you go. It's him.
This is where you look like the incredible doof.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I couldn't remember his name. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Question number 8. How many scoops of raisins go into each box of Kellogg's Raisin Bran?
Well, they say 2, but, is it really a scoop? Is it all conspiracy? It's 2 scoops.
What size is the scoop?
Exactly.
Yes,
Why does
it
the
is
scoop get
2.
smaller every year when the price of raisins goes up?
I don't know. It's the government. This tastes like chloroform.
I don't remember there being almondy chunks in here before.
You got that one right. Congratulations. It is 2 scoops. Question 9. The United States observation of Mardi Gras was started in which city and state? You're looking at me like I'm getting ready to do something devious.
Is it like somewhere besides New Orleans?
You pick your city and state, sir.
New Orleans, Louisiana?
No, Mobile, Alabama. Ha ha! My gentleness and kindness has found its end.
I hate you.
Mobile, Alabama.
Why?
I have no idea why they did it, but they did it.
You do that kind of crap. You got to come up with a why.
I don't know, because they wanted to.
Fair enough. I would not have guessed that.
There you go.
My only experience with Mobile, Alabama was I had to go down and see a buddy of mine graduate from... He graduated from boot camp in Air Force, but he had like that post-secondary training for almost a year for his job he was going to do.
Yeah.
And that was down in Biloxi, Mississippi. Now, for those of you who have not been to Biloxi, Mississippi, and if anybody's listening that's there, I'm sorry, but in your head, you picture it's like a really nice town. It's probably the most well-known town in Mississippi, right?
Right.
It's like a touristy type of place. It's a hole. It's bad. It's bad. It was bad enough that we bailed on the hotel we were supposed to stay at, drove all the way over to Mobile, Alabama, and stayed at the Super 8 because that was the better option. I'm sorry, Biloxi.
Is it worse than my hotel in down like Dayton, where I told you about the roaches and the giant rats? And
It was its sister motel. I'll put it that way.
sweet. I stayed there, and I lived.
Well, so here's the thing. We pull into this motel, and it's this old pink stucco, kind of look like the Alamo or something, that kind of
Yeah.
Spanish style. And we pull in, and already I'm getting the heebie-jeebies about this place. He tells us that our room, we go out the entrance and around the other side, and there's a second drive that we had passed coming in. We'd passed it because I assumed it was a trailer park. No, that was the other side of the hotel. They were campers.
That's fine.
Up on blocks with no wheels with room numbers on them.
Because all the wheels have been stolen.
They had room numbers on them. Those were hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I said, and we're done here. We're going somewhere. And we looked on the map, and that was closed, and we called, and they had an opening, and that's where we went.
Yep.
Like, there was no way we were staying there. It just was not happening. So there's that.
So Doug does not like Biloxi.
I've got to be honest. I'd have no desire to ever go back again.
Send the hate mail to Doug at Eminent.
I'm allowed to have an opinion, and if you've cleaned it up, send pictures. Maybe I'll come back down. But I was scared when I was there. We drove around trying to find the nice spot. We didn't.
Okay, last question. We got to move on. Question number 10. In the show Seinfeld, what popular candy did Jerry become addicted to?
Was it Junior Mints?
No.
There was a whole Junior Mints episode.
That was Kramer.
Oh, that's right. He dropped one in the guy when he was having surgery.
Yeah, one fell in. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to go through all the candy I remember from the show. Juji Fruits?
Nope.
I don't know then.
Pez.
Oh, that's right.
He got addicted to Pez.
Was it? Yeah, it wasn't really the candy, though. It was the dispenser. Like, he took it with him everywhere.
Yeah.
And
he ate the candy, though.
But he was making it clap.
Yeah.
He was like at a play or something. And
Yes.
He made it clap.
But he was eating the candy.
Yes,
so.
he was. But I think he was more the dispenser than the candy.
Quite possibly. But
Okay, so how'd you bust your ankle?
you want to know this fun story?
I do.
It's not. I mean, it's kind of interesting, I guess.
Okay, I'm going to give you another quick story, 10 seconds, and you
Okay.
tell me if it's dumber than this.
Okay.
My dad, when he was in high school, he played football, and one of his linemen took himself out for the entire season because he was working on his car, and he had, I think, a crescent wrench in his hand. A fly landed on his ankle.
Yeah.
So he swatted at the fly with the crescent wrench and broke his ankle.
I didn't break it in a stupider way, but how I proceeded from there was stupider.
Okay, that's fair enough. Go.
Okay. It'll be fairly quick because we're running pretty long already on time. So
Well, we had a bunch of garbage at the beginning we're going to cut out anyways. Not from the show, but just us talking.
Sure.
Before we started.
Sure, that's what you
The
meant.
pre-show is the show you really want.
If we saved all the useless bits, we could put together a whole show of just like banter.
Eminent waste of times, semicolon shenanigans.
So anyway, I was either 16, maybe 17, something like that, years old, and it was Indiana. We have ice skating in the winter. We find things to do
You
when
did
it's
not
cold.
go ice skating.
I did go ice skating, and I broke my ankle ice skating. So,
We found the one thing you're not good at.
well, I don't ice skate. God did not invent humans to stand on feet that are this wide and then go to blades that are like that wide and balance and slide around on ice. It's
Well,
just
at least not you.
not me. Anyway. So what happened was I was ice skating and my ankle, which was straight, all of a sudden went like this, and like the bony bit on the outside went all the way down to the ice. It snapped it. So it was bad. Now, that sounds bad enough. Now, me, I think ahead. I got spring break coming up in a week. I'm not going in a cast. I grab my ankle, pull it out, and reset it right there.
Naturally. That's what one
set
would do.
my own
That's what a
ankle.
normal human being would do.
Yes. Grab some ace bandage, wrap that sucker up, and I'm on to spring break. Wrap my ankle, and I'm good.
Yeah, that's you.
To this day, I can move my toes, and the tendons pop through my ankle all the way up to my knee because it's not in the right place.
So you've never
At
had
all.
that dealt with?
No, I talked to somebody about it who was like a nurse or a doctor years later, and they said, we're going to have to re-break it. I'm like, heck if you are.
When I do it, because it will inevitably happen, I'll let you know.
Yeah, then we'll deal with that. Not doing it now. So, yeah, it's still not quite right. But like I'll walk upstairs and it's going like pop, 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 pop. And it pops like 3 or 4 times every time it does it. Those tendons are rubbing bones or something.
I've heard it before. I'm like, that's not good.
I laugh about it, but one of these days.
That's why I call you Grant Hill now.
Yeah. It's bad. So it's not an amazing story. It's not anything too
but
odd,
it's definitely the
me.
insight into your psyche and your absolute refusal to do anything the way a normal human being would do it.
I don't want to go to the doctor. I'll just
I remember you asking me one time, you had this like massive gaping wound. You're like, should I get stitches? I look at him like, absolutely. He goes, I'll be all right. He just wrapped it up again. I'm like, come on.
I'll be like running
bone?
blood. Oh yeah, I've done that before. I could tell another stupid story with Chad right now.
No. We'll save that for a future date. We got to leave them wanting.
I have no feeling in this finger on the end because of it.
No feeling in your head as far as I can tell.
Nope. Don't need it. It's like a built-in helmet.
If this really was your first episode, I'm so sorry.
I'm not.
But it's fair warning as to what you're getting into. So if you want to keep waiting, you've been warned. Basically, you got the high water mark like right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Or low water. Or whatever one's worse. I don't know. Stagnant water. Cesspool.
Thank you.
All right, I told you where to find us earlier, at least the podcast and stuff, but you can find us on the web at eminentperformance.com, Facebook /Eminent Racing, on Instagram at Eminent Racing. And we want to say a big thank you to our sponsors. They're foolish enough to associate their names with ours, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Watch Communications, thank you so much for hosting the podcast and our website. And if you need website hosting or internet access, look them up at watchcom.net or org or something. Their website link is on our website. Go there.
Yeah.
Because I can never remember their website, and I shouldn't have even tried right there.
I don't know.
We've also got UTV-doors.com, UTV Engineering, Harrison Power Sports, and TGM Off-Road. Guys, we really, really appreciate all the support. You've been a huge blessing to us as we've ventured into this whole whatever it is we're doing.
Stuff.
As
we've waded in neck deep into what we don't know.
And no matter what stuff we find ourselves in, thanks for riding along with us.
Thanks, guys.
Tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.
Amuck, I'm running amok. I'm just going.